So this is what I'm talking about. Some premier law enforcement organizations use psychics to help them solve crimes. And you see, the operative word is solve crimes. Solve crimes. Um, and so what we really should be doing is preventing crimes. And psychics will not help you to prevent crimes because they are part of the crime network. So Satan is the one behind the crimes, and he has these people to help you catch one who he has have no use for. You got him into shooting up the place, and it's time for him to go. So he reveals who he is, and you lock him up and saying, "Yes, we solved this crime." But it should be prevention. And as I said, these psychics won't help you to prevent crime. There's only God can help you to prevent crimes. No. Bantering around, having police officers in schools. Well, to that, in some cities in Florida, they have, and I think in some other cities I see it. Los Angeles, you have the police that works with the school, the cars, marked school, police, whatever. And I'm not sure if they've ever had gun violence in those schools. A student walk with a shotgun and shoot somebody in those schools. I don't know. But look at it in Columbine. Here are, and I don't remember the number, but more than two students decided that they're going to shoot up the place. It is winter. They came with the coat, and they have this AK or whatever over the shoulder and in the coat. Now, the first person they're going to look to take out is the security officer, right? Now, he's not going to be walking around with his rifle. He'll be walking around with his gun and all this gadgets around his belt. So when they let go on him, then they could go and do what they have to do. But it's still going to take the same time to respond as if he weren't there, as long as they knock him off. And he'll be the first person to want to knock off. And you haven't seen it all yet. I mean, look, the better way to do it is to have God help you in this whole process. Because, you can never, counterfeit money. You just study the real. You don't study all the different types of counterfeit. Because there's so many. But when you have the real one in your hand, then you could discern the others. And there's so many different ways people could do stuff. They could creep up by a playground and get a kind of, one of these things. And while the students out there, they could gun down a whole bunch before they even drop to the ground. They could use grenades. They could use so many different things, And I think what is also important is that folks have forgotten that education, apart from this violence, education and schools are a cruel and brutal place in which learning, you're trying to do something that you have a whole bunch of opposition against. The devil doesn't like education because education and redemption are one. You're learning truth in school, which is the same truth that's in the Bible. And if you follow the truth in school, you're going to lead you to God because He's the one that really inspires learning. And He's the one that at times when you see society has moved to a level, give them new technologies and all that kind of stuff. If you don't want to recognize that, it's a problem. The devil also is on the side, counterfeiting and bringing in bogus stuff which would hurt you, and so on. And so, if we had God on these campuses, He will thwart many of these plans because He knows when the students are planning it. He knows when they're getting armed up, and He could, cause problems. They don't connect together. Somebody's discovered down the road. He said something to somebody. Oh, did I say that? And they run up quick and they grab it and then sort of negate that terrorist act or whatever. So that's very important. But I don't think that putting security officers in every school is going to help because there's going to be one security officer. Now I don't know where this guy came from, but you're going to have security cameras all over the campus, pointing every angle. He's has to be looking at that. And if there's a fight on campus, maybe he has to go and solve that. They could have diversion stuff. Getting out to that room, they have a little fight. And while he's attending to the fight, the fella jumps the fence, shoot up the door, get in. You know what I mean? So, I guess governments that are responsible have to try to see how they can solve the problem. But I want to think that there are other things that we ought to be doing other than trying to deal with the violence directly, as it were. In other words, now I read this article here about mental institutions in the past and so forth. This lady, how she was in the airport, 60 years ago, she was a mental patient in the whole 9 yards. Education should be able to discern people who have these problems, learning problems. And I mean, it sounds hard, but maybe they should just resign to go home and just do some basic things and expect to just not go anywhere. Then, of course, they're going to use it for racial purposes. All blacks need to go home because they have this mental problem. But truly used and rightly used and properly used, we could solve problems here. No point in sending a guy on to university when he can't handle elementary school and the various levels in school. And you see that this child doesn't have it. I mean, I've taught in schools and students are asking me, hey, you talking stupidness like that? Where are you from, man? Are you from Jamaica? You smoke or what? I've never smoked, sir. I'm not from Jamaica, sir. So, hey, you must even qualified. This white guy saying. So another white smart guy said, listen, man, listen. If this guy wasn't qualified, he wouldn't be here. He's black. He's not going to be here. So it means that if I were white, I could have gotten in there even if I'm not qualified. Because in California, you have to pass a basic educational test called California Basic Educational Skills Test. When I went to California first, I didn't have it, and I couldn't teach. So I went back and I aced that test, and still I couldn't teach. And there are white people who teach him without it. And then, of course, the guy let him know that not only CBS, but you have to have a degree to teach there. And they're white teaching without degrees. You see what I'm saying? So, if we're gonna, enforce education rightly and help these people to dampen down the ambition, you don't have to put them on medication to be able to function in school, to get a high school diploma, then go to college. It's going to be a problem. Because what I've discovered is that when you have to give these people to help them take notes, people to write their papers, people to nurse to do this, and they have a whole bunch of professional support. This child shouldn't be in school because school is not a place for the handicapped. It's a survival of the fittest. It's nice to play, oh, we love everybody and we can help everybody and so forth. But there's a reality out there. You can't put, okay, I'll deal with that next time. And so these guys have gone to university and shoot up the place. It's daunting. He's earning a doctorate or a graduate degree, and he doesn't feel as if he's worthy. He doesn't have the ability to get along with people. He can't put his thoughts together. He can't do nothing. It's like this guy is going to get so jealous and so envious that he's going to do something dangerous. So, I mean, I don't know what to say or what to do, but like, for example, I have an article there where kids that drop out of school are dropping back into school. Why did the guy drop out of school in the first place? It could have been that he's not doing any homework. He's not studying other from the class. As soon as the class is over, he's not thinking of school again. He's thinking about girls. He's thinking about gambling. He's thinking about selling drugs, doing drugs. It's all criminal activity. So that eventually you can catch up with him and he just can't progress because he doesn't have any foundation. So he drops out of school. He comes back in now because he got himself in trouble. And judge say, you got to get a high school diploma and come back here or else I'm going to send you to jail. So he comes to school and he's going to make it, he's going to tell you, man, I have to get this high school diploma or else I'm going to jail. And if you don't help him to get a degree, that high school diploma, without him even doing any work, you might put his security at risk. And then he's coming bringing dollars too. Because the judge ordered the state to send some money along so that they can have this special remedial program for this guy. And this guy really truly should go picking cotton and cutting cane and working picking cabbage. We have to get Mexicans in. And that's the next set of problems there. They send all the money over. They bring it, it's like the change in the culture and the whole 9 yards. So it's a tough challenge, but I don't think arming up the schools with security people necessarily going to make a difference because, there are some schools where nothing is going to happen. Who knows which? So you have to put in all. And still, it's not going to prevent anything because, well, it's going to stop some. But if something is to really happen, the devil really wants to upset education. The cop might go into the bathroom, same time the guy drives in, or he might be distracted or something and the guy comes in. The guy going to die eventually. He can kill himself or he'll be killed or he's going to be executed in a trial. But the trauma he has created, so many people are dead, such harm, such national trauma and so on. So that I don't think I have the solution because the solution is very inhumane. If in elementary school, very objectively, without any racial bias or anything, you see this black guy doesn't have what it takes, you need to tell him, we think that your boy should, try something different as opposed to academics. If the white guy is in a similar situation, they should say the same thing to the parents. If the Asian guy is in the same thing, tell the parents. If the Native Indian guy can't do it, tell the parents. And I'm saying that do it fairly and right because, they're going to try to discriminate against, the blacks and the others and give the whites the break. But so far, they had this guy in tech up in Virginia. I think he was Asian or something like that. But the rest are whites and so on. So, we have to be, fair. And, with all this educational resources out there, I recall high school failed a whole bunch of folks because they hadn't done what needs to be done. And instead of setting up the standard where you have to do what has to be done or else you wouldn't graduate, it's going to change and people are going to start doing what needs to be done to graduate. But this college say, man, we need these students here, man. What are you all doing, bro? We're going to give them a remedial course and we're going to get them ready for college. You know what I mean? So there you go. I mean, if, the ratio of people truly would really make the education is so small that, I mean, it might sound like not a good policy to eliminate these folks, but time will tell.